Hello, Tina, Eclectic Treasure Hunter with my daughter Miranda, and we're going to do a light 101 of Viking glass because neither of us are experts, and glasses, I'm fairly new to glass collecting, so we wanted to kind of dive in a little bit on this and create a video together. And so we're just going to start off with where we kind of gathered some of our information. I am old school. I like the books. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I always speak about, reference books. And this is the first kind of glass book I picked up because I really hadn't picked up any particular maker of glass. Well, I had some stuff, but I wasn't like actively seeking specific makers. And this one is actually a really good starter one. There may be, better books out there. I don't know, but I bought this used, and it is a great reference for not only United States glass makers, but international glass makers. So it gives you a flavor of where a lot of the United States, the directions they took in their glass making from the international makers. But it also has a really good content of different styles of glass besides the makers, but the different styles of the glass. So if you're trying to figure out what Murano glass kind of looks like, the Millefiori, there's all kinds of things in here from Italy to Sweden. But it also takes you into different techniques of glass, different types of glass, the pressed and molded glass. Camera. There we go. I love that piece. So it discusses blown, pressed, molded, opalescent, iridescent, carnival, all those things that, they throw the terminology that they throw at you and you're like, what's that? What's that? What's the difference between, iridescent and carnival? And the other thing that is really good, I really like about this book, is it has a really nice glossary of terms, definitions. Covering your face, sorry. So, you can go in here and, what's crackle glass, and it gives you a really brief definition. But this was kind of the first really interesting, it covers a lot of information in a relatively small book, and it's a pretty nice read too. The other sources that I use all the time now is, first off, this one here is a little more easier to get, but this one is getting a little harder to find and a little more expensive. And again, she just yawned.
I was holding it in.
How rude!
I was holding it in.
How rude! Am I boring you already? Okay, but anyway, this one is a really good one about the glassmakers of America, modern century glass. It covers a ton of glassmakers in here, and actually has some great pictures. I'm trying to give you kind of like out of their catalog kind of pictures. I think this one's a good, but it really is a good tool of information. I would highly recommend this one, and it's getting more and harder to find and more expensive, so you might want to jump on that one. This one's kind of the holy grail of Viking glass. Most of these books are out of print, so that's one reason why it makes them harder to find. But this one's pretty expensive used, and I got a pretty good deal on this, but I still paid up for it compared to what I normally pay for my reference books. But it was worth it. I have used it a ton already, and it is really, really good resource book of discusses not only their history, their patterns, their colors, their figural things, and we're going to dive into that here in a minute and get down to the glass. But again, I think it's really important to have good reference material. Besides Google can lead you astray, people. You can't believe everything on the internet, so, or whatever. And this one's a cute little one.
Or whatever.
Well, I fall prey to this, he said, she said, one person's telling me this, one person's telling me that, what's your, I'd rather go to somebody that actually kind of wrote the book, This one's a nice little piece about the kind of more the history of Viking, and I just kind of picked it up used. And another one I want to briefly share with you is this. L.E. Smith is probably the most easily confused with Viking. A lot of their pieces are very similar to Viking. So this book is a good reference book, and I want to start learning more about L.E. Smith, but boy, it's a rabbit hole. It is a lot. So, but it's good to, when you're trying to figure out, I had a piece, and I'll show you here after a bit, that I thought for sure, who I bought it from said it was Viking, but on further investigation, I found it is not Viking, it is L.E. Smith. So, I had to take some real close study on some of this. And then this, the last book I'll share, Glass Animals. I really, really like this book because I kind of like the figural glass more than anything. And this one compares, like, if you want to look at deer, did I just whack you in the face?
Yet. Not yet.
Not yet. If you want to look at deer, it'll show you, like, all the different makers of deer figurines. What was another good one we were looking at? Owls. Oh my God, everybody has owls, right? So I'm going to cover your face on this one, sorry. But there's like several Viking owls in there. There's, Mosser, and there's Tiffin.
I like those pictures. Those are cute.
Those are cute. Oh my gosh, New Martinsville glass.
Really?
Never knew that. These pictures up here. You always learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
That's New Martinsville, which was Viking.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's the Thumpers. Most of these are all Viking.
Mm-hmm. Those are so cute.
So yeah, actually, that's a whole nother story. Sorry, we'll get off on a rabbit track if I don't control myself. So that Glass Animal book is pretty cool. I really like it. So I guess what we'll start with, since we're on the topic of glass animals. Actually, I'm going to throw it to Miranda so she can talk a little bit about New Martinsville glass, Viking glass.
So Viking glass was established in 1900 by Mark Johnson and George Matheny, and it came from its predecessor, as you just heard her mention, New Martinsville glass. The plant was opened in 1901 in New Martinsville, West Virginia. We know them today for being a manufacturer of American decorative glass products, but the pride of Viking glass was their true use of color. This they kept strong right until they closed their doors in 1984. So I'm going to break down from 1901 to 1984 and a little bit after that, because, people buy things, people die, things happen, and factories burn down. So, going right into that. 1907, the factory was destroyed by fire and flood, but somehow they were able to get everything patched up together and reopened in October of that year. And then they are right next to the river in New Martinsville because of their product, and they need their supplies and everything. So they have problems with water. Again, in 1913, they had a flood, and the company suffered some minor losses relative to the manufacturing of glass. But then they were also doing an expansion at the time, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they had...
And didn't they have another fire?
Yes, I think.
I think they had two fires pretty...
Yeah. Like back to back almost. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing they got through all that.
Yeah, and that was just at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But around 1913, they also expanded into vanities, barware, lamps, inkwells, and crystal figurines, among other decorative glass objects. And of course, the 30s, they went bankrupt during the Depression, of course. It hit everybody. And so in 1938, there were some investors from Silver Glass Company of Meriden, Connecticut, that purchased New Martinsville Glass. And no, that was when they renamed it to New Martinsville Glass Company.
Okay.
In 1938.
Okay.
And then in 1944, the company was restricted and renamed the Viking Glass Company due to, of course, the popular Scandinavian glass that was hitting the market.
Mm-hmm.
And so crystal glass dominated its production during the war years, and this is when they got into their whole like war propaganda type
yeah,
advertising.
and they were really smart about it too, because they wanted to get in on the modern sleek Scandinavian glass, because it's really cool and everybody was wanting it, but they didn't want to sound like they were unpatriotic.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they were, and I'll see if I can find that real quick. So they were really not subtle, but subtle in how they slowly were introducing the Viking name in their advertisements. And I really should have had that ready, I guess. I'm sorry.
But this is when, like, around this time, a lot of these signs and sayings that we see today even started. So one such as "Handmade in America" is one of them.
Maybe you can help me guide this up there.
Yeah.
But what they were smart about was, Uncle Sam, made in America, but they were introducing, they still said New Martinsville Glass, but they were introducing the Viking label. And I think there's up here in this corner, I don't know, they start pulling in the name Viking. And so they were pretty subtle, but not subtle about it. They really wanted to make sure they still were proud of being made in America and have that stamp of approval from the public, but they really wanted to start doing this more sleeker designs of the Scandinavian designs.
Yeah, and keep up with the rolling
Keep
times.
up with the times.
As, like, what's popular. But like the Uncle Sam, it says this trademark Viking means made in America, and then below it says beautiful American glass for beautiful American homes.
Yeah, and remember, everybody was starting to get their homes, and finally having the money and the means to decorate more. And so yeah, they were very strategic in that.
They were big into, yes, it says Viking, but that means it's made in America. And then, like, another one for use in American homes, like, very punchy with it. It was very good. And so as we get out of the 40s into 1951, Viking introduced a burst of color. As, like, you think of Viking, you think of color. You think of all the bold, bright, beautiful pieces. And so this is when they introduced, like, evergreen, amber, ebony, cobalt blue, sky blue, colonial blue, harvest gold, and olive green.
And I've got some examples, and this is what this book is really good for, is not only talking about the shape and patterns, but it runs down the colors and stuff for you. But they were just so vibrant, so unlike what we were seeing. And I'm sorry for covering your face, okay. but so unlike what was the norm. They still did crystal glass, and they still had beautiful crystal, but people were craving color. They were wanting color. It was
they were starting to get back into hosting parties and wanting to get out of the dreary war era of just depression.
Yeah. So And the restrictions that the
Yeah.
chemicals that they couldn't use to make the colored glass were getting lifted, and it was becoming more available as well. So.
Exactly. And then in the 60s, they introduced more colors, so more and more. But then in 1964, they start rolling it back in. It's like, okay, maybe not. And so, 1964, they went from over 30 colors to 7 prominent colors. And this is the Amberina, the Avocado Green, the Blue
Blue-neek.
Blue-neek.
Blue-neek. Their blue was so unique, they called it Blue-neek. And it is gorgeous. And this one's like really good. Hopefully it'll show up good.
Oh yeah.
And let me see if I can get my little helper. My little helper. This kind of helps.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe focus. And unfortunately, the camera doesn't really do it justice.
Yeah.
I mean, to see this in sunlight on a windowsill without water spots on it. I've got really bad water. It's amazing colors in their glass.
So, and then crystal, honey, persimmon.
Persimmon is a big one for them. I want to say this is probably maybe a good example of their persimmon, which is like a really vibrant orange. Really vibrant orange. You have my helper again. Helper be my helper.
If I grab something.
But just gorgeous, gorgeous vibrant colors.
And then, and ruby. That was the 7th one. And then,
quick ruby one.
Yeah. And then in the 80s, they became struggling more, and especially with the recession. And then in 1984, they closed the doors. But then, like most companies in any part of the world, it was then bought by someone else. So this was bought by Kenneth B. Dazel.
I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced.
And he is from Fostoria Glass. So this is when we start melding. And so he then renamed the company the Dazel Viking Glass Company. And then runs into the 90s back with more colors. Magenta, deep red, cobalt, and yellow, and then also introducing several Fostoria molds into the company. And then we keep chugging along until 1998. This is when the company for sure closes doors for good, as it could not compete with cheap imports and more luxurious hand-blown glass. There was no sweet middle spot for them anymore.
Yeah. And so that kind of is in a nutshell is a little bit of their history. And okay, Miranda, you said that you were doing this video as a favor to me. Well, that's true. She is, and I appreciate it. But she also expressed an interest in Viking glass.
Yes.
And I think maybe is going to become a pretty active collector of Viking glass. Am I wrong in that statement?
No, that's what my eBay account reflects.
Well, it may have been what? Oh no, it started. I did give you something. What was it for your birthday, or was it
Christmas or my birthday? Yes.
I think it was for your birthday. I gave her a little
bookend.
But
it was like a terrier.
That was a Christmas.
Yeah. And it was frosted.
Yes, it was a little frosted, and it looks like a little West Highland Terrier dog. And we have Westies, so it was kind of coincidental.
Very fitting.
Very fitting.
And so she kept one end, and she gifted the other end to me.
So, was really fortunate to be able to kind of have a private pick of a very large collection of Viking glass. I couldn't take it all, but actually I'm going to go back in the first of the month, next month, and have another go at it. But while I was there, I found some really cute ducks.
Duckies.
And Miranda, really liked that green duck. She just fell in love with it. And you want to give a little brief reason why you might have really gravitated toward the ducks?
We had a farm growing up, and we didn't have ducks until like the very like later portion of it before I left. But there was a thing in our family that came up every Easter with my dad's mom, my grandma, and she would always harp on Dad and Mom and be like, when are you guys gonna get those kids some ducks? Like, every Easter I always gave you guys some ducks. Like, why don't you give them some ducks? You live on a farm. And so she did this for probably 14
Forever.
years.
Yeah.
Until then they cave in and they were like, okay. And so we got like 4 ducks to start with.
Yeah, I think that was the start.
Grow up and
I think we got khakis too.
Okay, maybe 2 pecans and 2 khakis. And
Sorry.
so the next year we end up getting like 4 more ducks, 2 geese, and 2 turkeys.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just like most collections. You think, I'm just gonna get, you know.
Yeah. And then it ends up being more like, then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. That's like farming.
Yeah.
And collecting.
Yeah.
That's how
So that's how her fascination for, I guess, when she saw the ducks. So I'm like, well, I'll give you this. I brought all this glass home. Okay, so I was loaded up and I got ducks. I'm like, okay, well, even if I'll give her this green duck, and you know, because that's really cute, and I know she would like it.
My favorite.
But then when she saw the other ducks, she's like, what you gonna do with those? So she ended up with most of the ducks that I brought home. So she's starting her own collection of Viking glass, and she started mostly what she picked was then the ducks. And now what are you?
I'm just giving a good.
Well, that's true.
Review.
Give them a good look.
Yeah, because then they get smaller.
Well, and I'll show you what I'm now. And then of course everybody knows the epic bird with the long tails and stuff. These are my jive. So this is what, and I've got a few more. They kind of keep populating also. So that's where you're starting now.
Yes.
You said something about eBay is
Yes.
getting to know you quite well.
Yes.
What did you?
So you first gave me for my birthday a little Viking vase that had like some flowers, and it was frosted.
Had a decal on it.
Yeah, it was very cute.
Had a butterfly and all that.
Yeah.
Like a decal, like.
Yeah, like that type of
like
decal.
this type of decal with a butterfly and stuff.
And then you gave me the little Westie, and then we got into the ducks and found some Viking zodiac mushrooms. There's not that many on eBay, especially now. There's only like 2, because there was like 5.
Oh.
And I bought 3.
Oh. Oh.
And so, and the other 2 are the ones I already got.
You already got.
So,
that's hilarious.
So it's gonna be more of my challenging collecting of Viking, because they're so hard to find. And now, since I've talked about it and I've gotten it, I know she's gonna be looking for them. So yes, my mom is a reseller, but she also competes a lot with me too.
I wouldn't say competes. No. Because would you have started collecting Viking if I hadn't brought it in? So who's competing off of who here?
Well,
anyway, it's fine. It's all good. There's
Pin-ups.
glass for everybody.
Pin-ups.
we won't talk about that collection.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Viking. So
that's another video. We'll get into that.
And let me touch on that a little bit. Yes, I am a reseller, eclectic treasure hunter. I resell on eBay. I do some live sales on YouTube. And I do a few flea markets and this and that. So if you see if you see anything that you like, most likely it's already on eBay, because if you happen to see these little stickers on the back of these critters, those are some inventory stickers, and usually that means they are listed on eBay. So hey, if you want a penguin
that's Viking,
who probably wears his Viking badge, then he's on eBay right now. And most of these are, except for her ducks.
Yeah.
And my bird
mm-hmm.
and that mushroom.
Yeah.
So it's like I need to sell to
keep collecting.
Feeds the habit. So anyway, so that's what kind of started you off into your glass journey.
Yes, and she's kind of like my supplier, so it's kind of nice when she does the legwork and I just give her the money. So it kind of helps.
And I just basically charge her cost. I mean, it's the family discount, but it's gratifying to me because I want the younger generation to get involved in collecting these vintage glass or pottery or whatever it is, because if they're not doing it, it's going to be lost.
Take on, yeah.
So yeah.
And you got me started with Viking, McCoy. I feel like there's a few other ones, but yeah, and that's why I think the mushrooms, like them coming back, is amazing. But then also the zodiac mushrooms, because I just feel like the astrology and zodiac and all that. Like my sister, she's Gen Z, she's 18. I know all of her friends talk about zodiac stuff, and like this is one of the perfect like melds into interests and then also age, and so it's like maybe there is hope for these younger people to start becoming more interested in collecting and rescuing and keeping an eye out and stopping somebody from sandblasting a work of art that doesn't exist anymore. And
that's a whole other topic. I guess the other thing I want to throw in there real quick was they also worked with Rainbow Art Glass. And Rainbow Art Glass did a lot of the more hand type of work. And I believe this is a Rainbow Art squirrel. And so you can see where, it was more hand. I believe this is, from what I gather, this is a Rainbow Art piece. And I believe this is also. But they worked with Viking Glass. It's a chunky. And this is what's so funny is you see these birds and then you see
like this,
these birds and I mean,
and they're all Viking.
You wouldn't know that they're all Viking necessarily. So it's just an interesting journey to learn about all these different things. And this other line too, real quick, because it's very popular and hot right now, and it's what a lot of people call fairy lamps, but Viking called them glimmers. And so here is a glimmer. Unfortunately, I don't have an owl one. I couldn't get my hands on an owl one yet. So this is what a lot of people refer to as cabbage leaf. I'm not sure, and I was going to double check this, but I don't know if it was ever really called cabbage leaf in the catalog. I think they just called it leaf, but a lot of people refer to this as cabbage leaf, so that could be true as well, or it's just something that was picked up and labeled that way.
It's so gorgeous.
It is so pretty, that color. And then this is the Georgian glimmer or fairy lamp, and it's beautiful. It's just got a great color to it too. Now, before we get to this fairy lamp, I want to discuss, there's a couple other types of glimmers, and these were called glimmers as well because they held a candle.
Oh,
there's my inventory number.
Sense.
They held a candle in them. So And I really like these, but these are
I want to
if an intruder came in your home.
I want to play real life Clue with this. I will be Plum in the library with the candlestick. And
that's going to be the
candlestick.
The candle. Well, not really the stick. It's going to be the holder because. Yeah. And then there's these called flower lights. And where's the helper? Helper, help me with the helper. Would you please? Thank you. And it's a gorgeous ruby. But what they did was they put so you could put a candle in there if you wanted to, but really what it was meant for was this frog. This is called a frog, flower frog, because you would put your flowers into the little holes. And then this was a, well, we'll just show you. It may not fit. I may need to size it. It might be, yeah. You could just take something and wrap around the bottom of the candle, but it was actually to hold a taper candle as well, and then your flower arrangement around it, and then you'd have water down there for your flowers. But this is a crystal flower frog that went down in it. And I think the lucite candles that are another really hot item right now look so good with Viking glass. It is just amazing. So now, one other thing I want to briefly touch on is sometimes when you're out buying stuff, you accidentally buy stuff that doesn't quite match. And they call those, when it's something that looks really good together, but it really doesn't belong together, a marriage. Okay, so somebody married this bottom, which is a ruby red, with this more persimmon, but it wasn't a bad match. And I don't think it was intentional that the person who sold me this even realized it. I think wherever they got it might have been. So I don't think it was ever sold with these, because you can see
very stark differences.
See the difference in that and the difference in that? I mean, that's
dark
ruby red,
yeah.
And then you see this. But when you put them together, they kind of blend a little bit. I mean, with the white background, you can tell a lot difference, but then when you take that away,
yeah,
it's harder to tell. And in my excitement of buying a lot of Viking glass, this happens. So that is called a marriage. Whenever you see something that is matched up together, but it doesn't really match. And there are good marriages, which I think this is a good marriage. And then there are, you could tell some of the bad marriages. So
those lead into divorce.
Those lead into separation. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. So I think what we'll do is we'll break here, and I'm going to bring out some more Viking glass to show you some more gorgeous Viking differences in styles and colors and other things that you can look for and collect, like I do.
And I do.
Can I hit the pause?
Hi.
Chris shaking the table.
We're live.
I know. I'm still recovering to what she just told. What is that when somebody a spoiler on a TV show what we were watching? She just told me something that I didn't know, and I'm like...
She told me that she was caught up, to be fair. So when I said something the other day, that I was like, I wonder if so-and-so and so-and-so will so-and-so. And then I just looked at her, I was like...
so on.
And I looked at her, and they were like, so on! And she was like... And I was like, but you said... And she was like...
Like, anybody's going to understand any of what you just said. We are watching Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and now she apparently is ahead of me.
Because they release 2 episodes every Friday. So it's like, I thought
I was caught up, but
yeah.
I was not caught up. So.
She is not caught up. It's a good episode.
Now I got a spoiler. Oh, well. I kind of knew it was
coming. Oh, yeah, it was going to happen. It happens in an interesting way.
Good to know. All right, no more. Zip it. So moving on to the next items that I kind of have here to display for you for Viking is a lot of their candy dishes, compotes, but I just wanted to show you the different styles and again colors. Now one thing you're going to see a lot of is blue or the blue neek. Some of these are blue neek, or most of these are blue neek. Some of them are the blues. But the lady I bought the majority of this collection from, that was her color. And it's smart to kind of concentrate maybe on one color or one item because collections can get so overwhelming so quick. So she decided that she was going to concentrate on the blues from Viking. But one of the things, and we were trying to figure out how we can show you the difference in the blue color, but this is again the leaf or the cabbage leaf compote dish, and let me turn away so you don't see my sticker. And this has the Viking sticker on it, and if you'll notice, thank you for showing the blue, if you'll notice this has kind of a clear sticker on it, and that penguin that I held up had a foil like reddish pinkish sticker, and I want to talk to you about that here in a minute. But so there's that blue, and then if you'll hold up this one, you can kind of see, yeah, this is kind of a heavier, maybe a thicker, but you can see the differences in the blue maybe a little bit. This is the blue neek, and I wish it would show up on camera more. But anyway, this is the cabbage leaf or the leaf candy dish. And
it's so cute.
She really likes it, and I do too. I like it. It's grown on me a lot. It wasn't the first one I would have gravitated to.
You know what that looks like in here? You see like how the leaves like form around like this?
I don't want to guess.
Looks like an eyeball.
Okay. I would.
Where's your mind at?
I didn't know where your mind was at.
It looks like an eyeball.
It wasn't good trying to guess what you were thinking. And then I love this one. This one, it is gorgeous. It's the ribbed, and it is just beautiful. It's got a pedestal. This is the higher, and then I have one that is what they call low, because it's got a pedestal as well, but it's a low line, so you can see the difference. There we go. But aren't they beautiful? I mean, the stems on these, they're so pretty.
They look so like medieval, like you would think. Just
medieval, really?
Yeah.
Maybe I can see
like
this one more.
Yeah, but like if you look
with your goblets and
yeah, if you look at like this, like a jewel and all that, like it just looks like you would see like in a castle and all that.
Yeah.
With all the riches.
Well, and that's another show that I'm hoping we'll get. This is a lot more mid-century modern, but some of these have the flair to go back a little bit further. And I really hope, I have teacups and different things too that I sell, that with the people that are into the mid-century modern look, but also with the Bridgerton and what's the other one? Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
And they're advertising a dating show that this girl is like, I don't know, she's supposed to be a princess or a duchess or whatever, and she's supposed to have all her suitors come to her at this like castle, and it's all very Bridgerton type setup. So I'm thinking, well, maybe that'll get more people collecting a lot more of these vintage and fancy dishes, because I am also into a lot of that too. So yeah, I'm excited to see hopefully more interest in this. But and then you have your open compote, and this has got the 3 or tri-foot base on it. Thank you. I was like, words. And this is the drape design, and you'll see that in their vases as well. I don't know if you can hold that up. Isn't that pretty? The crimped edge. And then along the same principle, this is the 6-petal. Sorry about my sticker, but this one may not show up very well, but this has a real beautiful frosted purple color to it. And they call it 6-petal because there's 6 petals to it, and you'll see it in the base. And I wanted to bring this up now while I have these 2 pieces handy. Ellie Smith is confused with Viking a lot. They have a lot of similar patterns, and one of them is confused a lot is their 6-petal with, and this is actually the second time we've videotaped this video.
That's why
I think
I'm
our first time was a little bit better, but I lost the video somehow.
That was some scary text messages.
And oh, I was so upset. And I had some vases that I demonstrated, and they were beautiful and showed the differences between, and I've still got a couple vases, but they were showing the differences between Ellie Smith and Viking, and I've sold those.
Which is a good problem.
Which is a good problem.
Good
but
problem.
so now I'm going to try to demonstrate with these 2 pieces. If you'll hold the purple, please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the difference, these are both kind of have that 6-petal look. If you kind of look inside, you see the petals in this. I might have to pause this video. It's such a beautiful day. I have my windows open, but the neighbors are getting kind of noisy. So anyway, you'll see the 6 petals in this, and kind of see it in the bottom of this as well. But the biggest difference, besides showing the sticker on that one is nice, but most of them don't have stickers, is if you notice this base has scallops, or it's not smooth around the base, okay? And hers is smooth. The base is not scalloped or anything. So if you can see the difference between these 2 bases. I don't know, hold the hand up. All right, we're gonna pause this video because now people are getting really nosy and looking in my window.
Mm-hmm.
So, you going?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about the interruption. I'll kind of go over this. Now the dog's gonna put it in 2 cents. And I keep shaking the table, so I'm hoping this isn't going to be super shaky. But anyway, again, just real briefly, the difference between you can see the kind of the petal shape of the base itself. It's got the scalloped, and hers is smooth, and that is the difference between Viking and Ellie Smith. So that's a quick way, without stickers, to kind of tell the difference between the 2 items. So, but, you know, they have, like I just pointed out, they have a 3-foot, they have, and I'm not quite sure what they call this base. This is their beautiful amethyst.
Mom's favorite.
My favorite. This goes in my collection. So, I wish the camera would show it, but then it has this base. So, you know, that one's kind of a quick way to tell those 2, the petals, the 2 different petal patterns apart on those. And then my favorite candy dish is with the epic bird. I love this. This one's in my collection. The ones that you see as stickers, check them out on eBay.
No stickers, no
and
chance.
then a lot of companies did swans, and there's a smoothness. You can tell the difference between a Viking swan, kind of looking at the neck. There's a smooth, there isn't like a big lip or anything on their neck, so that's a good way to tell. And if you get their book, it does show
a whole bunch
of differences of the 2 companies. And I'll kind of go through that in the back of this book right now. It kind of explains that again, and I don't want to cover your face, but if you see the 2 green, am I doing it right?
Yes, there we go.
Kind of got a glare. If you see the 2 green vases and you see the 2 petals at the bottom and the bases, you can see the ones smooth and the one's got a scalloped kind of edge. And then the other one that's confused a lot between Ellie Smith and Viking is the persimmon and the bittersweet. Now the bittersweet is opaque. You cannot see through it. It is solid. And I actually have a vase of that I can show you an example of. Whereas the persimmon is translucent and you'll be able to see through it. So that's kind of a quick thing that you can tell the difference between, but that gets confused a lot at first. And there are other makers that make, again, similar products to these. So it does get confusing, very confusing. Oh, and here's like a good example of the swans, if you'll help me point that out.
And this is the Viking. No lip.
No lip.
And then not Viking, lip.
You see that point there on that one? So that's kind of a nice little cue to tell the difference between the Vikings. I was trying to see who Duncan Miller swans have a point. So that was a Duncan Miller swan. But other than that, they were very, very similar. You know, if they were in a clear color or something, you couldn't hardly tell them apart.
Mm-hmm.
So color, patterns, you know, those are quick things. Oh, and about the label. A lot of people will have labels on their products and they will, let me see, where did I put Mr. Penguin? Okay, so a lot of people are very familiar with this Viking label, and it is one of their first labels they use. However, during production, they used this label as well, which was like a clear label, but they still have these sitting around. So it didn't matter if this was later in production, if they had whatever sticker was handy, they slapped on it. So you cannot really judge a Viking
by its label.
By its label. You can't judge it by how old it is or whatever by its label, because they used this label throughout the whole time it was being produced, is what I understood. And they even sold the labels, I think. So some people might be slapping some Viking labels on some stuff. I mean, that was like, I think when things were getting cleared out or whatever. So those are some quick tips of telling the difference between Viking glass and some of the more common pieces they're confused with. And I think we'll break this down and bring some vases in that I have. I have a couple. I mean, it's a good problem that I sold them, but you know. Anyway, so we'll pause this video and we'll be right back. Okay, before we get started into this swan vases, I do hope that you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. I really, really would appreciate it. I don't get a chance to do these videos very often, but it is encouraging when I see that thumbs up. And also, my daughter Miranda here has her own Etsy store called cronebydesign, and you want to give a little information about what your store is about?
Yes, I do custom hand embroidery and custom applications and stickers and a whole bunch of custom things. Pretty much anything you can think of.
Like if you need a little
create it
logo thing going on, she did that for me.
Or like not just the board, but I designed her logo. And as you'll notice in the beginning of this video, there's an intro that I designed, and at the end of this video there will be an outro that I've also...
now you gotta make me make it all
Pressure's
fancy.
on. Pressure's on.
I'm not good at editing, so don't judge the editing on this.
So I have a fun time with small business branding, as I rather work with someone small instead of something big and kind of scary. And so I've designed all of her logos for eBay, Instagram, her Gmail, and her business cards and all that. And I've also designed mine, and I've already been reached out a few times by other small businesses to help with their branding and all that. So if you have any ideas, I wouldn't mind taking a look into it.
So where can they reach you?
My email, cronebydesign@gmail.com, and you can see me on Instagram, cronebydesign, and my Etsy, cronebydesign.
hey, that's what makes it easier. And that's the same for me. eclectictreasurehunter@gmail.com if you want to reach out to me about anything that you see here that you might be interested in. And also, I am on Instagram. It is eclectictreasurehunter1 on Instagram. And sometimes I just throw random pictures up there of stuff that I've picked up or will be selling or just think are cool. So if you want to follow me on Instagram and reach out to me there. And I already mentioned my eBay store, Eclectic Treasure Hunter. So yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to be able to do this with you, and hopefully people enjoy our times together. So thank you for watching. And we'll get back to, oh, did you have anything else?
We hope you like our banter, as in our first video that we did of this series, it was more lively. So we're kind of we're easing back into it.
Woo woo! Anyway, so here are some gorgeous examples in their catalog of swung vases, and there's something about seeing these lined up in the window with the sun shining through them that it is just gorgeous. Just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Here's the trifoil, or I think that's what they call it. That's what I've been calling it. Three-foil, trifoil, you know.
Same number.
It's I mean, they're just beautiful glass. So I have a few examples, and the one that is pretty prominent that you'll find probably almost anywhere, and I think I need to wash this. This is out of my kind of collection. I like this emerald green and the amethyst are kind of my two favorite colors. So and you kind of can see it's kind of dark, but you see the 6 petals there that we were talking about earlier, and then this is completely smooth on the edge, and then it has the petals coming up. And this is not an example of a 6-petal, but this is an example of a bittersweet, which is not a Viking, and I'm not sure if this is L.E. Smith, but it is a bittersweet that L.E. Smith is known for coloring, and it's solid. You can't see through it. Like if you want to hold one of your ducks up to it, or the persimmon, so they can kind of see again the translucency that you'll see in a Viking swung vase, and then this opaque bittersweet that you'll see in L.E. Smith. So that's an example of bittersweet that I wanted to show to you. This is really cool though. I mean, I like it as well. I like this and the green and some blacks at Halloween. I love Halloween, and so I really like this.
Yeah, because this is your candy corn.
Yeah, this is I always say the candy corn vases, but yeah, I think that looks great. So that's an example of that. Then here's another pattern of a swung vase they call the drape. And this is a smaller one, but I kind of like the smaller ones because you want sometimes a varying sizes, you know, when you're lining them up. And then this one, I think they call it a split vase, and this one's got 4 fingers, I believe. These are all epic. Like their Vikings epic line just was epic. I mean, they named it right. I mean, everything was epic this, epic that.
Yeah.
And this is a split vase in their amethyst. You want to hold that one? It's got fingerprints all over it. And then you see it in a basket as well. And this one about gives me a heart attack because it's just so fragile, but it just comes together. So I would never pick it up by the handle of that, but that's kind of their split vase with the different. And this one's kind of coming across to me as more blue, which I don't think you can see it on the camera. And this one in the middle is more the blue neat, the blue neat color. But you know, it's kind of hard with the camera and lighting to capture that. But this is traditionally everybody thinks of Viking and their swung vases. And I did have some more examples until I sold them. But hey, that's life.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do? But anyway, if you would please make a comment, share if you collect Viking, what you collect. If you have any questions, you can make a comment, or advice. We do not know hardly anything.
I don't know anything.
This is a journey for us, and hopefully you can share anything with us. We would enjoy hearing back from you. So please, again, like and subscribe and share. I would appreciate it. Thank you for joining us.
Ta-ta!